months ago I did a random disturbing facts video, and you guys seem to really enjoy it, so I thought I would follow it up with a longer version for everybody to enjoy. So tonight I have some more random disturbing facts to hopefully help you sleep. I'll apologise if you hear the trees outside. It is super windy this evening. But that being said, enough intro, let's get into the facts. Fact number 1 is humans shed skin too, like a lot of skin. According to the World Health Organization and recent studies, the average person will shed roughly 112 pounds of skin in their lifetime. As of 2022, we could solve American homelessness easier than you think. On average, there are 17 million vacant homes in America at any given time. Meanwhile, according to endhomelessness.org, there are roughly 500,000 homeless people in the States as of 2020. Your cell phone is more disgusting than a public toilet. Your cell phone has 10 times more bacteria on it than the average public restroom. Our doctors may be killing us. Okay, that was dramatic. Please, if you feel like something is wrong, go and see a health professional. But it's interesting to know that roughly 250,000 deaths are caused by medical error each year. Horned lizards squirt blood from their eyes as a defense mechanism. You could be trapped in a coma-like state and be aware of it. Locked-in syndrome might just be the most terrifying medical condition. It's when you're stuck between being asleep and awake. You know you're awake and can hear and see the things around you. However, you can't talk and can only move your eyes, so you're unable to respond to anything. Your cat may sense when you're dying. A pet cat named Oscar resided in a nursing home and was believed to be able to tell when one of the residents would soon die. He'd sleep beside them until they passed. Rat kings are real. When a group of rats living in close quarters get their tails tangled together, they're called a rat king. Never say you're being eaten alive by mosquitoes again. That was an actual method of execution. Scapism was an ancient form of torture and execution, where you'd cover someone with honey, stick them in a hollowed log, and let nature run its course. That's horrible. Pine trees have proven that they can grow inside the body. Doctors recently went into surgery to remove what they thought was a tumour. It turned out to be a fir tree growing in the man's lungs. There might be a haunted Russian radio station. UVB-76 is a low-frequency radio station that has been broadcasting since 1982. No one knows where the broadcast is originating. It's mostly just a buzzing noise with an occasional Russian voice transmission. Your child is exactly as creepy as you think they are. 20% of children report hearing voices. It could be imaginary friends. this might not be too far from the truth. The Japanese giant hornet has venom so powerful it is said to melt human flesh. 1/3 of all murders in the United States go unsolved. More than 80 million bacteria are exchanged in a single kiss. There was once a chicken called Mike the headless chicken that lived for 18 months after its head was cut off. Babies grow mustaches in the womb that then spread to cover their entire body in hair, called lanugo. The body hair keeps them warm and helps regulate body temperature. Don't worry, they shed it before birth. It takes the death of 27,000 trees daily to make toilet paper for humans. Mice and rats can spread at least 35 different diseases to humans. These infections include salmonellosis, hantavirus, and rat bite fever. Crows are so intelligent that they can recognize a human face. We all have teeny tiny mites living in our eyelashes. The catacombs of Paris hold bones and remains of nearly 6 million people. The pacu fish from South America has human-like teeth. With all the explosions, movement, combustion and mayhem, the universe is still completely silent. That's because there's no air for the sound to travel through vibrations as it does on Earth. An astronaut's footprint on the moon can remain there for 1 million years. You can actually fit all the planets in the solar system in the space between the Earth and the moon. According to the Science Journal back in 2015, an average of 4.8 and 12.7 million tons of plastic enter the oceans each year. According to DoSomething.org, 1.2 trillion gallons of sewage, stormwater, and industrial waste are dumped into US water every year. There exists in the Czech Republic a small Roman Catholic chapel called the Sedlec Ossuary. What makes this church different? Its decorations are made from human bones. The ossuary is estimated to hold the skeletons of 40 to 70,000 people. If you thought the Poltergeist movies were terrifying, wait until you hear what happened after they were filmed. Legend of a Curse plagues the franchise due to 4 deaths among the cast: Dominique Dunn, Heather O'Rourke, Will Sampson, and Julian Beck. Dunn, who was 22 at the time, tragically died at the abusive hands of her boyfriend, and O'Rourke was only 12 when she died unexpectedly from septic shock caused by a bowel obstruction. In the 1800s, dentures were made out of the real teeth of deceased people. The Pirates of the Caribbean ride, a Disneyland is iconic, but its history is a little spooky. When the ride was first built in the 1960s, fake skeletons looked, well, really fake. Disney's Imagineers weren't satisfied, so they reached out to the UCLA's anatomy department for the real deal. As technology improved and fake skeletons began to look more authentic, the real skeletons were reportedly given a proper burial. Want to visit the most haunted island in the world? You'll have to travel to Italy. Poveglia reportedly holds the title, attributed largely to the fact that massive numbers of people dying of the plague were quarantined there in the 18th century, and it was also used at one point as a mental asylum. Before the advent of cups and bowls, people in ancient England used hollowed out human skulls to hold their food and drink. Got climate change deniers in your life? Tell them that 2019 was the second warmest year on record, and not just that, the 5 warmest years between 1880 and 2019 have all been since 2015. This article was written in 2020, so it's likely that that's outdated now, the way things have been going. The golden poison dart frog is the size of a paperclip, adorable, and can kill you with a single touch. In fact, just one frog has enough lethal poison in its skin to kill 10 to 15 people. Ladybugs are known to eat their own larvae to ensure the survival of the other larvae. Pigs can eat an entire human body, mostly because they'll just eat anything. A human head remains conscious for around 20 seconds after being decapitated. A body decomposes 4 times faster in water than on land. Within 3 days of death, the enzymes from your digestive system begin to digest your body. When the movie trailer for The Exorcist first came out in theatres, people were so scared they ran out of the room, and eventually they stopped playing the trailer in theatres altogether. The Japanese hornet is one of the largest and most venomous hornets in the world. A sting from this bug can result in kidney failure. There is such a thing as homicidal sleepwalking. It's also called homicidal somnambulism or sleepwalking murder. In 2005, Jules Lowe was acquitted of murder after killing his father because he was sleepwalking during the crime. A rat's teeth can gnaw through substances as hard as lead sheeting and cinder block. We've come a long way when it comes to maternity care. Did you know that chainsaws were originally created for childbirth? Before cesareans were perfected, if babies were too big to pass through the birth canal, a chainsaw was used to remove parts of the pelvis quickly. In 1973, 2 men in a small submarine experienced a malfunction in the sub. There, 1,575 deep in the ocean, water started flooding in. The sub slowly started sinking. Although the men were able to radio for help, they knew they only had enough oxygen to survive for 3 days. When the rescue team finally found them, they only had 12 minutes bits of oxygen left. Talk about a close call. Until the 20th century, human remains were used in the making of medicine. Before you gag and throw your phone or laptop across the room, here are the details. Per medium, it was thought that ingesting powdered remains of certain organs would help with pain or ailments in that part of the body. For example, the crushed and powdered skull remains of a deceased person to cure headaches. A book written 14 years before the 1912 sinking of the Titanic may have predicted the ship's tragic demise. The novella titled The Wreck of the Titan, or Futility, was about an unsinkable ship hit by an iceberg. The Titan also had a shortage of lifeboats, like the Titanic. The cosmological theory of the Big Rip posits that as the universe continues to expand at a faster and faster rate, the force will pull galaxies further from each other. Then galaxies will be pulled apart, followed by the planets and objects from their stars, the stars themselves, planets, and so forth, until even nuclei and atoms are separated. What a way to go. In 1915, Dr. D.K. Briggs of Blackville, South Carolina, declared 30-year-old Essie Dunbar dead after an apparent epilepsy attack. She was buried the following morning, but her sister in the neighbouring town couldn't get there until after the coffin had been lowered into the ground. When she arrived, she asked the ministers to dig up the coffin so she could see her sister one last time. When the screws were removed and the coffin opened, Essie sat up and smiled at her sister. She went on to live another 47 years, although many people believed her to be a zombie. The film A Nightmare on Elm Street is based on a real story reported in the LA Times. A boy was terrified to go to sleep, and when he did, he died while screaming about a nightmare. The Devil's Bible is real. It's a contract between a monk and Satan. The monk wanted to escape death, so he made a deal with the devil. In ancient Rome, people used to believe that drinking the blood of dead gladiators would give you their strength. The ancient Romans also thought drinking blood would cure epilepsy. Arrhythmic death syndrome is when someone who appears to be in a healthy condition dies for no visible or discernible reason. Every 18 minutes, someone has a brain aneurysm that ruptures. The FBI once estimated that there are about 25 to 50 active serial killers in America at any given time. In 2007, a woman died after drinking more than a gallon of water in 3 hours. She did it to win a Nintendo Wii. God. Up until the end of the 1980s, some doctors didn't believe newborns could feel pain. The chance someone will die on their birthday is 6.7%, which is higher than any other day. Certain plants can scream when they are in distress. According to researchers, Some plants make ultrasonic sounds when stressed, especially when they are dehydrated or have their leaves chopped. These noises are too powerful and high-pitched for humans to perceive, but may be detected using specialized technology. A typical person walks past 36 murderers in their lifetime. How can they know that? It says according to statistics in the typical lifespan, you will unwittingly stroll past 36 killers over your lifetime. How would you know that? I don't agree with that one. There could be up to 10 million dust mites living in your bed. Microscopic organisms called dust mites prefer warm, humid settings like mattresses. They prey on dead skin cells and in some instances might trigger allergies. Well, we learned earlier we shed a lot of skin, so maybe they're lurking there. Dead bodies are still able to move. Rigor mortis, induced by a build-up of calcium in the muscles, allows the muscles to relax and twitch even after death. This can make a body appear moving even when it is not alive. Cats can recognize their owner's voice, yet they frequently ignore it. Cats can recognize their caregiver's voice from an outsider's, although they rarely respond. This is because, unlike dogs, cats have not been domesticated to accept human demands and are more self-sufficient by nature. The deceased outweigh the living on Earth. There are approximately 15 dead people for every person that lives today. This suggests that the number of individuals who have lived and passed away far exceeds the present global population. The typical person will spend 6 years of their existence dreaming. The brain is constantly consuming itself. The process by which cells enclose and devour smaller cells or molecules to expel them from the body is known as phagocytosis. Not only does phagocytosis not cause injury, but it also preserves your grey matter. 7.5% less blood reaches the brain when you wear a tie. An investigation conducted in 2018 discovered that sporting a necktie can lower blood flow to the brain by as much as 7.5%, which can result in headaches, nausea and dizziness. Ties are also excellent germ carriers and can constrict your beautiful eyes. The sun produces a sound that you cannot hear. The sun has sound in the form of pressure waves. The wavelength of the sun's pressure waves can be gauged in hundreds of miles, indicating that they are far outside the range of human hearing. Deaf persons are known to utilize sign language while asleep. A case investigation of a 71-year-old man with frequent eye movement disorder and severe deafness revealed that he used proficient sign language while sleeping, and researchers could decipher what he was dreaming about owing to those signs. That's pretty cool. likely due to increased blood circulation to the fingers. You may also be less worried when on vacation, making you less prone to nibbling away at them. You recall more dreams when you sleep badly. According to research, if you have trouble falling asleep and wake up frequently during the night, you'll be more likely to remember the details of your dreams. Additionally, when you wake up after a dream, you are more likely to recall it. Trees would collapse if the Earth's size doubled. This is due to a doubling of surface gravity. It would also prevent dogs and larger animals from running without breaking their legs. Animals can perceive time differently from humans. Smaller animals perceive their surroundings as moving more slowly than humans. Reptiles, for example, perceive time slower than cats and dogs. The brain's ability to comprehend incoming information determines how rapidly time is perceived. It is possible to die from laughing. Many people have died as a result of extreme laughter, which can cause cardiac arrest or suffocation. Snakes can consume their tails. When a snake is anxious, it might confuse its tail for prey and attempt to eat it, a strange behaviour known as ophiophagy, which can result in the snake's death if it does not realise its error in time. There is a fungus that controls ants' thoughts. A parasitic fungus called Ophiocordyceps unilateralis infects ants and takes over their brains. I'm pretty sure that's the fungus that causes the end of the world in The Last of Us. The fungus then eats the insides of the afflicted ant and produces spores that infect new ants, forcing the ant to crawl to a high place and adhere to a leaf or twig. It has been dubbed the zombie ant fungus because of this unsettling process. A parasite replaces a fish's tongue. The parasitic crustacean known as the tongue-eating louse clings to fish tongues and feeds on the blood vessels until the tongue decays. The fish can subsequently continue utilizing its mouth properly because the parasite essentially serves as its new tongue. Bacteria that create body odor consume your sweat. The bacteria on your skin degrade the proteins in your sweat, resulting in a foul-smelling waste. This, rather than sweat, is what generates body odor. Many cemeteries have a devil's chair. Stone chairs known as devil's chairs can be seen in graves worldwide. The bereaved commonly used these chairs to sit and weep, but folklore and myths have given them a negative reputation. Some myths say the devil will arrive if you rest in one at midnight. In the 1980s, several incidents of house fires in England were associated with a picture titled The Crying Boy. In every instance, the artwork was discovered intact despite the debris. This sparked rumours that the picture was cursed, and numerous individuals burned their copies in terror. Some people have an additional behind their knee. It is classified as a vestigial structure, which means it no longer serves any use in the human body. A fibula can be painful and uncomfortable at times. The Bermuda Triangle, located in the western Atlantic Ocean, has historically been linked to inexplicable disappearances of ships and planes. Although many disappearances might be attributed to natural causes or human error, the region's dark reputation keeps drawing attention and chill. I need to do an updated video on the Bermuda Triangle. The Flying Dutchman is a mythological ghost ship that is claimed to be destined to cruise the seas indefinitely, never reaching port. The ship is frequently regarded as a warning of disaster, and its outward appearance is considered a bad omen to people who see it. The ghost shark, commonly known as the chimera, is an underwater fish with a cartilaginous structure and a disturbing ghost-like appearance. Their light-coloured translucent skin and big, lifeless eyes make them one of the most terrifying creatures in the entire ocean. Sleep paralysis is a terrible condition in which a person awakens but cannot move or talk, typically accompanied by a sense of being pressurized on the chest and a demonic presence in the room. The phenomena relate to various cultural myths and stories, including meetings with demons and evil spirits. I can confirm this. Can't say I've had anything demonic, but I've had it a few times in my life, but 2 times were particularly bad. One time I was doing my masters at uni, and I woke up to there being a figure by my door, and it edged closer until it was on my bed, and I could feel like the pressure on my bed, and it like leaned over me. And then another time there was like a woman shape, like a dark shape that was sort of like again on my bed, like on top of me. It wasn't funny. I was traumatized. Anyway, Godard's syndrome is an exceedingly unusual mental condition in which the sufferer feels they are deceased, lack any existence, or have lost their bodily functions or blood. The hallucination might be so intense that the sufferer neglects their own needs, believing they are no longer living. Sleepwalking, also known as somnambulism, is an insomnia condition where patients conduct complicated behaviours while still asleep, like eating, walking, or even driving. Sleepwalkers frequently have no remembrance of their actions and can unknowingly put themselves in trouble. Alice in Wonderland syndrome is an uncommon condition of the brain in which a person perceives their body or environment as distorted, making them appear larger or smaller than they actually are. The syndrome can be unsettling and frightening, leaving the affected person feeling trapped in a bizarre, dreamlike universe. A person swallows approximately 1 to 2 cups of mucus daily. The body produces mucus to collect and remove foreign particles and microorganisms. Throughout the day, people subconsciously ingest mucus, consuming about 1 to 2 cups daily, as it travels through the nasal passages to the stomach. One rock hurtling through space can destroy humanity. This is one of the creepy space facts. Debris is common in space, most are innocuous to individuals on Earth, it only takes a 0.6 mile wide boulder to endanger the survival of your entire race. Even smaller rocks, measuring about 130 feet across, can cause catastrophic damage to the planet. The eyes clouding due to a lack of oxygen and fluid reaching the corneas is one of the earliest apparent signs of death. If the eyes were open when passing away, it might occur within 10 minutes and a day if they were closed. We had cats earlier, but apparently dogs can detect when a person is about to die. Dogs have a remarkable capacity to see when something isn't quite right. They frequently express their concerns by wailing or whining. It is said that dogs can smell death. They can sense when someone is about to pass away. Mirrors have been shown in research to produce hallucinations. According to research, if you sit in a darkened room approximately 3 feet away from a mirror and gaze at your reflection for around 10 minutes, you may begin to hallucinate. This is due to minor distortions accumulating within your mirror. Cows are more likely to kill you than sharks. Many individuals die every year as a result of being kicked or trampled on by a grown cow. It is also stated that cows worldwide face the same direction when grazing. But that sounds like an eerie conspiracy theory. Mount Everest contains over 200 frozen corpses. Climbers and Sherpa guides who die on Mount Everest are typically left behind when they fall. This is because moving a body around 20,000 feet down the dangerous terrain would endanger the rescuers themselves. Your small intestine is much longer than your height. Your small intestine is wholly coiled up in the cavity of your abdomen, making it impossible to determine its length. However, if you extended out your small intestine, it would be around 4 times the length of your height. Loading up the next source. Okay. Starting off with a nice one. There might be fecal matter on your office coffee mug. You might be getting a little more than you bargained for when you drink your morning coffee at work. A study by the Journal of Dairy, Food and Environmental Sanitation conducted in 2017 assessed the cleanliness of coffee mugs in office kitchens, or lack thereof, according to the findings. The study found that a whopping 90% of the mugs tested contained some type of bacteria, and 20% of them actually had fecal matter on. The culprit the study found is the sponges used to clean the cups, which are often the germiest items in the entire kitchen. While 20% still may not seem like a lot, a little goes a long way when it comes to fecal bacteria. If you'd rather be safe than sorry, you're best off bringing a mug from home and washing it in the dishwasher. And for everyone's sake, wash your hands after using the bathroom. And there's a type of predatory fish that can walk on land. These creatures, called snakehead fish, can walk up out of the water and right into our nightmares. They have both gills and an organ located in their gill arches that permits them to breathe oxygen. They sometimes come up on land in search of food and can flop on their fins for up to 1/4 mile, which would probably be comical if it didn't make your skin crawl. They've been found everywhere from California to New England to Florida, where they can be as big as 14 pounds. No thank you. And as if that wasn't scary enough, since these creatures are native to Africa and Asia, they're considered an invasive species in North America. This means that they have no natural predators, and their population can grow unchecked. Peanut butter can contain rat hairs. Oh rats, you're probably saying to yourself right about now if you're a peanut butter lover. The FDA actually allows up to 1 rat hair in every 100 grams of peanut butter before it's considered defective. For reference, 100 grams is equal to a little under 1/4 pound. The reason bits of rats could be in your jar of Jif in the first place, well, it's because it's so hard to spot and remove them during the difficult, unglamorous process of peanut harvesting. While such a small amount of this unwelcome ingredient isn't harmful to you in any way, it sure is gross. Part of Albert Einstein's brain are on display in a museum. If you visit the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, you can see one of the world's greatest minds on display. Literally, after Albert Einstein died in 1955, the pathologist on duty at the hospital removed his brain without permission from his family, an act which remains a subject of controversy to this day. Einstein's oldest son eventually gave him permission, on the condition that the brain was used only for scientific study. The pathologist sent slides containing Einstein's brain matter to neuropathologists around the country, hoping that one might unlock the secret behind Einstein's genius. In 2011, a neuropathologist named Lucy Rourke Adams donated 1 box of the slides to the Mutter Museum. The slides are still on display in the museum today. Horses can't vomit. You'll never see a pony puke, even though nearly every other animal with a spinal column can. There are all sorts of anatomical reasons for this unusual difference. Horses have much stronger esophagus muscles than most species. Their esophagus connects with their stomachs at a much lower angle than in other animals, and their stomachs aren't surrounded by abdominal muscles. What we don't know, though, is why this vomit-proof anatomy is necessary, and why it's unique to horses. One theory suggests that because of the way a horse's organs move when it runs, it evolved to better keep down its food than its fellow creatures. In 7 hours, an elephant produces enough poo to outweigh a human adult. A fully grown African elephant can produce about 300 pounds of poop in a single day. They don't digest much of the food they eat, so they poop out a lot of grass and plants still intact. Vampire bats can consume half their body weight's worth of blood in half an hour. Well, this is just bloody disgusting. These winged creatures, the only mammals that can survive on a diet of blood, need to consume an ounce of blood during every feeding session. They only tend to weigh about 2 ounces and feed for 20 to 30 minutes at a time. Well, you do the math. Their bodies are able to process such a large amount of blood by filtering the water content of the blood straight to their kidneys extra absorbent and allow them to consume such massive amounts of blood. Vampire bats are native to Central and South America, where they usually feed on the blood of cows or horses. There's an island near Mexico City filled with creepy old dolls. Like a twisted version of It's a Small World, La Isla de las Muñecas is sure to give even the most fervent doll lovers the heebie-jeebies. Located on a lake near Mexico City, the island is considered one of the world's most haunted places, and it takes only one look at its inhabitants to see why. According to the legend, a man named Don Julian Santana was the caretaker of the island. One day he learned that a little girl had drowned in one of the island's canals, and he made it his life's mission to honour her. And for him, honouring her meant collecting dolls from wherever he could find them and displaying them on the island, however creepy looking or decrepit they were. Though the truth of the legend itself is disputed, you can take a trip there by boat and see the very real dolls for yourself, if you dare. Koala pee contains chlamydia. Think these adorable Australian marsupials look cute and cuddly? Well, you might not be so eager to give them a cuddle once you learn that they're big-time STD carriers. About half of koalas carry a strain of chlamydia, and while it's a different strain than the type that affects humans, humans can still contract it. The disease-carrying bacteria can be spread through an infected animal's urine. So no matter how cute koalas may look, try to avoid putting yourself in a situation where a wild one could be on you. Didn't one of the members of One Direction have that happen? And I don't know if it was confirmed that they actually got chlamydia, but I remember it being a thing. Was it maybe like Niall? I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure one member of One Direction got chlamydia from a koala. But I could be wrong, maybe that's not factually accurate, but be sure to check it for yourselves. In underground subway stations, you will inhale a lot of skin particles. Research on New York subway stations in 08-09 showed that 15% of the air molecules were actually human skin. What's more disturbing is that while most of the skin came from people's eyes and heads, 12% was from armpits, belly buttons, inner ears and backsides. 1 milliliter of coastal water from the ocean can contain up to 10 million viruses. The ocean is full of black holes. These ocean eddies are so tightly constricted by water baths that scientists say nothing can escape if it gets sucked in one. Apparently these water vortexes are mathematically similar to the black holes we observe in space. Okay, interesting one next. Stroking a parrot's back can turn it on. Repeat after me. Don't stroke a parrot down its back. If you do, then you'll be making them super sexually frustrated. What the fuck? Which is not good for them. As far as petting goes, it's good to stick to the head, feet, and around the beak. Okay, well now you know. While stroked parrots get horny, bored ducklings can become cannibals. It's a common thing, right? Eating out of boredom. Well, ducklings take it one hell of a step further and display cannibalistic behaviour when bored. aggravated or overcrowded. Oh, and it's not just them. Other cute animals can turn all Hannibal Lecter, including rabbits, squirrels, and chickens. Our livers shrink and grow significantly every day. Livers are fascinating and also kind of creepy. Not only do they grow and shrink by almost half their size every day and night, but they can also regrow up to 90% if removed. There may be beaver secretion in your cosmetics or food products. Beavers' scent glands are located between their genitalia and their anuses and produce a vanilla-scented secretion that can sometimes be found on the may contain section of makeup, perfume, and food. Armadillos can carry leprosy. In countries including the US, Brazil, and India, wild armadillos can be reservoirs for leprosy, as some are naturally infected with the bacteria that cause it in humans. It's possible that transition can pass between the species, especially when infected armadillos are eaten, which isn't uncommon in certain parts of Brazil. In 2015, India and Brazil reported over 127,000 and 26,000 new cases respectively, making up 73% of global new leprosy cases. Microplastics have been found in the placentas of unborn babies. Not only are we already full of the stuff, but it's now being passed on to newborns while they're still in the womb. The particles were likely inhaled or consumed by the mothers, who were healthy and had normal pregnancies. Perhaps we're heading towards a paraplastic human race soon. Brain surgery is sometimes performed while the patient is awake. Sometimes if a tumour is in a certain area of the brain, the surgeon will require the patient to be awake to make sure they aren't disrupting a part of the brain that controls language, motor functions, and speech. It's a really useful and successful method, but makes me feel all kinds of queasy. This kind of links to the fact we read earlier, but up until the mid-80s, babies were sometimes operated on without anesthesia. One reason for this seemingly horrible practice was the fear that anesthesia may be harmful to them, which is understandable. But what's worse is that it was believed that newborns felt no pain whatsoever, which is totally not the case. In fact, their pain responders are as developed as those in older children. Even longer, more invasive and painful surgeries were taking place only with a minor muscle relaxant until 1987. There's a parasite that brainwashes rodents into being eaten. The parasite, Toxoplasma, affects the brains of rodents and wipes out their fear of cats, thus making them easy prey for felines. Once the rodent has been eaten, the parasite will reproduce and then pass out of the cat, starting the cycle all over again. It can get into humans too, and there are suggestions that it slows reaction times. Infected drivers are 2 to 3 times more likely to be involved in car accidents. Oh, nice bit of noise next door. Sounds good. I'll try my best to edit out that sound. My apologies, but we're on the home straight now. I want to press some crocodiles can gallop. If they weren't intimidating enough already, some crocs are able to run in a galloping motion, becoming airborne as they do. You shouldn't ever have to run away from a croc, but if you do, you'll be pleased to know that they tire very quickly. Dogs love squeaky toys because they sound like wounded animals. Oh yeah, it turns out that the fluffy toy your pup is enjoying, shredding to pieces, to them is actually just a helpless dying animal. It makes sense, really, it's all sort of natural, but picturing it can be somewhat off-putting. I don't know if that's true, and also how would you know that? You can't interview a dog. In 1980, CNN pre-recorded a video to broadcast when it came to the end of the world. In a highly morbid manner, CNN prepared for any eventual end of the world by readying a doomsday broadcast to be released in the final moments. The tape has seemingly been kept ever since just in case. The rumour had been circling for decades and it was finally leaked in 2015. We throw away 900 million tons of food every year. The number is so huge that it's difficult to compute. If you had 17,000 Titanic ships piled up, the discarded food would still weigh tons and tons more than the ships. 17% of the food available to consumers goes directly in the bin. That's crazy, isn't it? In a study of 2 different age groups, scientists found out that the group that had watched black and white television for most of their lives experienced more grayscale dreams than those who watched colour television. I'm not sure that's disturbing, that's kind of cool. Let's find one more fact. Okay. Your stomach is secretly trying to kill itself. The stomach secretes hydrochloric acid to digest food and disinfect itself from other unwanted particles. The acid is so strong that it can digest the stomach itself. As a countermeasure, the stomach has to regrow its inner layer every 3 to 4 days. I'm not sure the fact really should be stomach is trying to kill itself, because it's not really the case, is it? But yeah, that was, hopefully, if my timings are correct, 1 hour of disturbing random facts to hopefully I've helped you relax somewhat, entertain you, or maybe you're not even listening to this bit and you're asleep, which would be best case scenario. Really happy to be back doing the proper videos again and getting it back in the flow of uploading 2 videos a week. I'm really excited for the video next Monday, which basically I'm going to be starting a new kind of mini-series. Space videos have always been super popular here on the channel, so I'm going to be doing kind of like a space facts history series where we, each episode we look at a specific topic. So it might be black holes, or the sun, or the Milky Way, etc, etc. Haven't decided which I'm going to go with first, but that'll be next Monday, so you have that